Hi guys, good morning. Thank you for joining me. So it looks like a few people are running a little bit late this morning, but that's no problem. The meeting will be recorded and I will send that to those that couldn't make it in real time. I know we deal with a lot of different time zones in this group. So I know that timing can always be a bit of a challenge. But I'm really, really grateful to have you here today. Today is the official launch of Jenny Tysick Nutrition. For those of you that have been in my personal life or just following me along the way, this dream plan has been in the works for, I think, about 3 years now. I am an officially certified nutrition coach. If you don't know me personally, my name is Jenny Tysick. I am 36 years old. I have two young kids, one almost 7-year-old and a 3-year-old boy. And then no, almost 7-year-old is a girl. So I know what it's like trying to keep your family well fed with all the busyness that goes on with life. Like I said, I have an almost 7-year-old who started school last year. So I feel like sometimes I'm always rushing back and forth between school and kindergarten, sports events, church events, family events. And it's really, really easy to feel like you're either rushing somewhere or trying to get some kid fed, because I don't know about your kids, but my kids seem to constantly need more food. But that is what our masterclass is based on today. But I just want to spend about 10 minutes sort of introducing myself, for those of you who don't know me personally. So let's put up some slides for you guys so you can follow along with me. Yeah. So this is the Effortless Eats Masterclass, but like I said, we're going to spend about 10 minutes I'm going to introduce myself and my approach to nutrition and a bit of my personal background, because I think that our background always has a strong impact on how we approach things. Um, so, let's start with my why. Why am I a nutrition coach? For those of you who have known me for a long time, and I know some of you have known me since I was in high school, health and nutrition is definitely not something that I have always been passionate about. In fact, I did not enjoy that sort of side of life at all for a very long time. First of all, my work experience, my first job was at the 7 Mile Beach kiosk in Jirowa when I was about 15. So I started off basically working in fast food. I don't know, do you call a kiosk fast food? They sell meat pies and sausage rolls and chips and fried fish and stuff like that. So I suppose that we call it fast food. But that started basically over 10 years of working in fast food jobs on and off, but reasonably consistently over that time. And this kind of resulted in me eating a lot of fast food purely because it was available and it was either very cheap or free. This became especially apparent once I moved out of home when I was around 21. And at that stage, I was working at a pizza restaurant at Domino's. And between working bizarre hours, anywhere from 10 a.m. till 4 a.m., not really knowing how to cook and not really having the energy to cook, it obviously resulted in me eating a lot of fast food. My personal experience, and I think this is an important discussion point. Personally, I never felt good about the way I looked. I always felt that I was overweight, that I was unattractive, and all of those insecurities that we all deal with, particularly as teenagers and people in our early 20s. But but that also had quite a negative impact on the way I treated my body. Just before we get any further, I nearly forgot. If you guys have any questions, comments, feedback during this little presentation, just put them in the chat and I'll do my best to get back to you. So yeah, so that resulted in me doing a lot of overeating. I don't want to call it binge eating because I don't know if it was that extreme, but it was certainly going that direction. And it made me have a very negative relationship with both my body and with food, which I've had to work quite hard over the last couple of years on really restoring that and resetting that back to where it should be. I remember going on my first diet, I think when I was about 17. It was one of those kind of meal replacement diets. It might have been Tony Ferguson. I don't really remember. It was a long time ago. And I won't get into the ethical issue there of why a 17-year-old should never be put on a diet like that. So I continued along this path for most of my 20s. And as I said, when I first moved out of home, and again, once I got married and moved out of our group home, I was faced with the same challenges. My husband at the time was studying. I was only working part-time at Burger King. We were on a very low income. I was basically provided free food when I worked. So again, that resulted in me eating a lot of fast food, even though I didn't necessarily want to. Sometimes, fed is best. They say that about babies, but that is also a very valid point when it comes to adults, or anyone really. And then I got pregnant with my daughter, and I made the decision that I would quit my job, which we were moving from Düsseldorf to Frankfurt at that time anyway. So I was going to be quitting that job anyway. And I made my decision that that was my last fast food job. I was not going to continue in this industry. Not because it was a bad industry. I don't have a moral objection to it. I don't think anyone who works in fast food is beneath anyone. A job is a job and the bills are paid, and that's the important part. The reason I decided I didn't want to do it anymore was I didn't enjoy the team I worked with. And honestly, I was tired of working with lazy teenagers. It isn't how I work. I'm a fairly motivated and driven worker. I don't enjoy standing around. Just because there's no customers doesn't mean I wouldn't be working. But I just decided I was done. I'd been doing it on and off for over 10 years. In fact, I think I was 30 when I quit, so nearly 15 years. And I just decided I was done. What I was going to do after that, God only knew. But that meant I spent the next 3 years, I'm trying to keep the timeline right, 3 years at home with my daughter. We had, I heard someone refer to it as the panini the other day. It made me laugh. But we had some global health crisis, I won't name it. And during that time, I was staying home with my daughter and just trying to navigate the early years of motherhood. And again, I struggled very much postpartum with body image issues, with my relationship with food and my body. And this continued through pregnancy with my son. Before I got pregnant with my son, I did unfortunately fall into some fad dieting that was just really, really unhealthy. For me specifically, that was the low carb diet. It wasn't quite keto, but it doesn't matter. It was a really unhelpful way of life for me. It meant too much of my decisions, my emotions, and my responses were dictated by a number on a scale. And so I decided I needed this to change. After my son was born, I said, okay, I'm not going to diet for, I think I said at the time, for the first year, which makes sense. You should absolutely not be dieting while you're breastfeeding. Just a short point there. But then I found, and I'm not even sure how, but um, I found I found this field that's called intuitive eating, in case you've never heard of it. Um, so it's basically the concept that our body already knows what we need, and we just need to learn how to listen to it and to optimize. So basically, it means that you can eat whatever you want, in a sense. I'm hesitant to say that because I know how that can be interpreted. But you eat the food you desire, the food you want to eat, and then you increase that by adding more to it. But I'm not going to go into that much today. There is heaps of resources online. Um, and I would like to do a class on that in the future, but today is not the day for that. So that's what caused the change. I found this field of intuitive eating. I read a book that was originally written, I think, in the mid-90s about it, and just to get an idea of it. And as a general, I think it's a really great book. I do encourage people to read it. I'm sorry, I've forgotten the author's name. I should have written that down. But I want to now talk a little bit about my approach to nutrition. So, as you will have gathered, I don't support a rigid, strict diet that eliminates foods you love, foods that are culturally or personally important to you. I don't believe in restricting calories in a way that has a negative impact on your body. Maybe it might be helpful for some people to be mindful of calories. I don't necessarily think it's bad, but I think it needs to be done with caution. I think the most important thing, though, is that food is intended to be enjoyed. We want to enjoy our food. I mean, if it was really just about the calories, we could all just drink meal replacement shakes all day long and be fine. But I think we're supposed to enjoy food. So that's my approach. I want you to enjoy food, and I want you to find a healthy and nutritious way to eat that feels good for you, that works for you and your lifestyle. And the goal is to eat for long-term health rather than being so focused on the scale. This doesn't necessarily mean we entirely ignore it, though for some people that may be the way that we need to handle things for a season. Personally, I can get on the scale now and look at it and be like, okay, whatever, it's just a number. But I understand for a lot of us that have been bound up in dieting for a very long time, that can be really triggering, really upsetting. And so I think certainly for a time it can be really good to put the scale away and just focus on eating well for the sake of health rather than being so focused on the scale. Unfortunately, we often make a lot of not healthy choices based on the scale, and we call it health. But that's another topic for another day. So let's talk about you. So I don't know about you guys, but I have certainly noticed the grocery bills going up more and more every single day, every single month. Sometimes it feels like it's becoming almost impossible to feed our families in a nutritious way while staying within a budget, because the reality is I feel like the food bills go up, but my pay does not. And so this becomes a really big struggle. Maybe you're finding yourself constantly reaching for those pan meals, those instant meals, those microwave meals, or frozen chips, frozen pizza, frozen chicken nuggets, all these highly processed foods. Or maybe you're going to McDonald's or Domino's like multiple times a week because you just don't have the energy or the time to cook. The worst question in the world, and if you have kids, you probably hear it like 100 times a day, is what can I eat? I'm thinking of my mum right now. Apparently, I used to do this a lot when I was little and annoy her with, Mom, what can I eat? I'm hungry. To the point that it's pretty much a joke within our house now. Or maybe you're just struggling to be present. Like, I remember going out with my family, like with my husband and my kids sometimes, and struggling to stay present because I know the second we get in the car, someone's going to ask me what's for dinner. And I'm like, "Oh, we've had such a great day and I'm tired now and I don't want to cook." And so we would end up in the drive-thru or ordering pizza or getting frozen meals again. And those frozen meals, they're getting seriously expensive now. I figured out, like, for my family to buy frozen pizza, even for us, which is supposed to be the budget-friendly option, and it is. But it cost me like over 10 euros now. And like that's a fair whack of our food budget. So that's getting kind of crazy. And it's not that satisfying, to be honest. Like, if I buy pizzas for us, I know my husband's going to eat again later in the day. I'll probably be okay, but I know my husband will eat again later in the evening because it's just what he does. Um, but or maybe you find you're cooking the same meals on repeat over and over, like a spaghetti bolognese. Who isn't bored of spaghetti bolognese? Though, my kids still ask for it sometimes, so of course I make it for them. Or like whatever it is, that maybe fried rice is your repeat meal. Maybe that's what you're into. And don't get me wrong, there is nothing wrong with spaghetti bolognese, with fried rice, with sausages and mash, or whatever your repeat meals are. There's nothing wrong with that. And I can totally understand why you'd gravitate to these meals, just because they're easy, you know how to cook them, and you know everyone likes them. Or maybe cooking stresses you out and you really hate the idea of being stuck in the kitchen yet again because it feels like you're the only one in your house that cooks. Um, so I know I've felt that way. I know many of my clients have felt that way, and it kind of makes you not even want to cook, and you just go for the easiest thing that's done as fast as possible. Um, so I work with busy, stressed out mums and dads or single people. It's not an exclusive club here, but just busy, particularly mums who have so many things going on in their life. And though feeding their family healthy and nutritious meals is important to them, they really struggle to actually make it happen. And I work with them to break this sort of dinner time chaos and find a realistic way to feed themselves and their family. So maybe you're tired of that chaos. Maybe you feel like you never have time to cook. I know as parents, it's really, really easy to get caught up with. We have work happening, we have kids' school routines, we have after school sports, we have maybe you have church commitments, maybe you have personal commitments, you have social commitments. Yes, I know parents have friends and they actually want to go see their friends. And it feels like there's just always something else that is more important in that moment. Or maybe you're just tired of being the main cook in the house. Like, I get it. I mean, honestly, I enjoy cooking. I do now. I never used to. And sometimes it was exhausting to think, oh my gosh, I have to cook dinner again tonight. Nobody tells you that when you get pregnant, right? Because for the next like minimum of 18 years, you're going to have to cook pretty much every night. Um, just a joke though, guys. But I really enjoy cooking personally, but I know I went through a long phase where I didn't enjoy it. And I know many of you have been through that too. Um, Maybe you feel like there's always just something that needs to be dealt with right now. And it can be small things like, oh, I need to clean this, I need to do laundry, I need to respond to this email, I need to take this phone call, I need to get the kids to a doctor's appointment, I need to get to this sports event, I need to pick kids up from school or whatever. There's so much going on in our lives. It always feels like something, I just need to deal with this. And then dinner gets pushed back further and further and further. And then you just end up doing the quickest, easiest thing that doesn't require much physical or mental effort. Or maybe you just feel like there is always another crisis you have to deal with. So this is just random. But one day I was cooking dinner And my son, who at the time was maybe 6 months old, comes and he puts his hand on the glass of my oven. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, I'm halfway through cooking dinner. And of course, my first instinct was, oh my gosh, he's burnt his hands because like he's crying. And so obviously I had to turn everything off and we had to quickly rush to the chemist to get some burn cream for his hands. Like, luckily it wasn't very bad. He didn't have them on there very long, but his hand did still blister up. And these kind of that's a crisis that happened while I was cooking. And it was like, okay, I've got to ditch this. It doesn't matter. The food is unimportant. What's important now is my son's hands, and we need to go deal with this. And that can so easily happen where there's just something that needs to be dealt with right now. And the food and the meal planning and the cooking and all of that just gets pushed to the background. Or maybe you're finding yourself constantly going through to drive through or ordering pizza on Lieferando or whatever your local delivery service is, Uber Eats or whatever. Maybe you're realizing that you're spending so much time in the drive-through, or you're spending so much money on frozen food, fast food, or you're relying on those convenience items, which again, there is nothing wrong with having frozen pizza or chicken nuggets or whatever once in a while. But they need to be part of a balanced diet and not the main part of your diet. Or maybe you're just in a bit of a cooking rut. This is definitely something that happened to me when we first moved out, my husband and I. Again, we were on a really tight budget. I didn't really know how to cook, to be honest. I only had a few meals I knew how to cook. And I felt like I was always cooking the same things over and over. And it made me just not even want to cook because it was just so dull. Or maybe, and this is funny because this can go one extreme or the other. Either your cupboards are empty, there's nothing there to cook. Or your cupboards are so full of stuff you don't even know what you're going to do with it and your grocery bill feels like it's just going up and up and up. And yet you feel like you're getting less and less and less. I think we've all seen those kind of memes on Instagram about like food shopping in 1980 versus food shopping in 2024. And of course it is funny. But that's the reality of the situation we live in. What you used to be able to buy for 20 bucks or 20 euros in 1980, or let's not even go back that extreme. Let's go back to what so I used to do my weekly grocery shopping for me and my husband for I think like 40 euros a week. If I tried to do that today, I think it would cost me probably between 60 and 70, of course, like, and that would be just for me and my husband, not including my kids. Not a fair comparison. But that's how it can feel, even though it sounds funny to make these jokes. This is the reality of the world we're living in. Inflation is insane right now. And trying to eat a nutritious and balanced diet on a budget can be really, really hard. So let's talk about how we are going to move from this stressful, difficult, challenging situation into a more calm, approachable way to handle this. So these are the main things that I think will really, really benefit you when it comes to batch cooking, meal prepping, and planning. And I will sort of use both terms, both meal prep and batch cooking. Though technically what I do is called batch cooking. A lot of people believe them to basically be the same thing. So take it how you like. So it's going to be a massive time saver. It's going to save you so much time. I cook an average of about 5 meals, typically Friday afternoons, and it takes me around an hour and a half, give or take a little bit. Cooking time is now scheduled into your week rather than just being like, oh, whenever it happens. You can get other people involved. My daughter actually helped me last time I meal prepped or batch cooked. She helped me to cut some of the vegetables and helped me to stir some of the stuff in the frying pan. And that was really, really nice. It's good to have time to connect with her and teach her a really important basic life skill. But yeah, you can get other people involved if you want to. Maybe you prefer to cook alone. I understand that too. I'm just like, I need space. But but I also like to get my kids involved when they want to. You have more free time to do the things you actually want to do. Because I think most of us do not want to spend more time in the kitchen. Most of us want to spend less time in the kitchen. Um, and it also means those unexpected situations, like what I was telling you about my son burning his hands while I was cooking. It makes those unexpected situations not overwhelm you as easily. It's also going to help you save money. First of all, you're going to be spending a lot less money at the drive-through. You're also going to massively cut back on your food waste because you're going to be much more intentional about what you're purchasing, and you're going to be much more intentional about what you're purchasing. So, and the greatest thing that I really love about this is that it's personalized for you. So we're going to work on a few things, but the most important thing is that you have a list of meals. Essentially you have created with guidance. You've got a list of meals that you can cook, that you and your family love, that are affordable to you, that are accessible. Your cupboards and fridge are going to be full of foods that you actually have a plan for. Your dinner table is going to move from a chaotic environment to calm. Not only for us personally, but also for our kids. This is one of the things that I learned in my study about the impact of your food environment on the way you choose to eat and how you respond to food. And the massive one is you're going to gain confidence in the kitchen, because you actually know what you want and you have a plan. You're going to be way more confident and comfortable in the kitchen because you know exactly what you want to be doing. Okay, so I just want to do a little bit of myth busting here. By the way, I used to love Mythbusters. I thought it was the best show. But let's talk about some of the myths that people believe, and honestly, that I believed about meal prepping and batch cooking. The main one many people still believe is that meal planning and batch cooking is only for people who work outside the home. That is so not true. I meal prep and I batch cook for my family, and if you know me, you know I work at home. But I do it because it saves me time and energy. You can't batch cook or meal prep family size meal. Again, not true. You can cook whatever size meals you need. I batch cook for my family of 4, and this works fantastic for me. But I also have a couple of clients who are single, so the same thing. And they are able to portion out those meals and freeze them and potentially have meals for a couple of weeks that are just in the freezer, and they can just grab out and heat up whenever they need them. You need a lot of fancy equipment or the right meal prep containers to batch cook. Nope. Nope. I have those I think they call clip save plastic containers. It's a plain plastic box with the clip things on the side. Honestly, it does not matter. You need containers. Definitely with a lid. Would recommend that they be freezer safe and microwave safe for your own convenience, but you absolutely do not need any kind of expensive, fancy meal prep containers. Whatever containers you have are more than likely okay for what you're doing. Meal planning and batch cooking is too time consuming and it's mentally exhausting. I can totally see where people are coming from that. And I think when it is not executed well, it absolutely can be very time consuming and very mentally exhausting. You could be spending hours browsing through Pinterest or whatever, looking for recipes. And then when you get in the kitchen, you really struggle to get things done efficiently because you're constantly having to check these unfamiliar recipes. Or the last one, sorry, getting back to that point. This is why we have the meal master list, and I'm going to explain what that is in a few minutes. But this is going to be the core meals that you've chosen and that you're more familiar with so that they're less time consuming and less mentally exhausting. And meal planning and batch cooking is repetitive and boring. Again, it can be if it's not executed well. And that's why we focus on doing things well. Like I said, I'm going to get into it in a few minutes, how we're going to do this. I do not believe any of these things to be true. I believe all of them have the potential to be true if we don't have a system in place. And that's why we have a system. So let's move into the effortless eats method. Oh, there was that typo that I meant to fix. Apologies, guys. So the number one, the first step of this whole thing is you're going to go into your kitchen, go into your freezer, your fridge, your cupboards, whatever, and just make note. And I do recommend you do this either on paper or on your phone, whatever one's better for you. Don't rely on your head, you will forget. And make note of what you have in your cupboards, particularly the things that might have been hanging around for a while that need to be used. And then you're going to write your plan. You're going to create a master list of meals that you know you and your family like and that you know how to cook and that are accessible to you. You're going to use the stock list that you created in that first step as a jumping off point to write that plan. For example, I know I have a big packet of minced beef in my freezer right now that needs to be cooked. And so I have already decided I'm going to make lasagna and I'm going to make a kidney bean and beef stew. And that's how I'm going to maximize that for convenience as well. You can check the sales at the supermarket here if that's something that's important to you. To be honest, I am a little bit flexible here. I just know how to easily adjust meals based on sales. But a lot of people choose to do that, and that can be a really great money saver there, but also be aware of the cost, like the hidden cost, the time cost of doing that. And you can also check Pinterest here or other websites for ideas. I think Pinterest is really great because you can just search like what kind of ingredient you want to use or what kind of meal. Like sometimes I'll just be like minced beef, slow cooker meals, and it'll pop up a whole host of recipes there that are maybe a little bit different to what I would normally eat. Step number 3, you're going to schedule your prep time. Like I said, I schedule mine on for a Thursday. My back. Apologies for the interruption there. There was supposed to be child minding happening, but there was an interruption. So you're going to block out a specific time in your week, and I really encourage you to make this a consistent time. Like I said, I schedule mine on a Friday afternoon because I know typically my husband is home. I wait till after I pick the kids up from school. This is what works really well for me. I know a lot of people choose to do it Sunday afternoons, and that's fine if that works well with your schedule. You need to consider when you are fairly consistently available for to do that. And personally, I feel an hour and a half to maybe 2 hours, including cleanup time, should be enough for the majority of people. I encourage you to plan your time well, to consider the cooking times for things. For example, I try not to have too many different things going at once. I will focus on 2 to 3 things and that's it. Like 2 things kind of happening in the background, like, there's chicken roasting in the oven. I don't really need to do much. I just need to keep an eye on it. And the pasta's cooking, so I'm focusing on what I'm cooking in the pan at the time. I encourage you to avoid distractions. Personally, what I like to do is put on like a podcast or a documentary that doesn't require me to be watching, just listening. Maybe you like to just put on some music you really like, or maybe you enjoy silence or an audiobook, whatever works for you. And I do encourage you as much as you can to clean as you go, specifically if you have a small kitchen, which I think some of you have seen my kitchen. It's pretty small. So I definitely encourage you to clean as you go. This will make things way, way easier for you. So, and the last part is to store your food properly. Most dishes will keep safely in the fridge for 3 to 4 days. Personally, I recommend that you eat fish within about a day of cooking it. Though it is likely okay, personally, I just wouldn't take the risk. Whatever you cannot eat during that time, make sure you freeze it quickly after you finish cooking. And so that is my Effortless Eats batch cooking meal prepping method. So this is the master list. I'm going to explain a little bit what this is. This is a list of 30 meals that you're going to kind of use as a resource for each week when you're planning your meals. It's just going to make it so much quicker. So instead of picking from thousands and thousands of recipes on Pinterest or taste.com or whatever site you use, now you've got a smaller list of meals you like, and it just makes it so much quicker because you're not as mentally overwhelmed by all these choices anymore. What I do want to say is, though, take care that you are updating it fairly regularly. I don't recommend trying more than one new recipe a week. You don't have to do it that often if you don't want to. You can do it every 2 weeks or 3 weeks or once a month or whatever. But if you notice there are certain meals on that master list that you're no longer pulling towards, feel free to remove them and to put something else in. But just do 1 or 2 at a time and don't overdo it, because the whole point is to make these things easier. Thanks, Julie. So this is just my current list. And I adapt things, change things out regularly because I don't want to get bored of what we're eating either. Okay, so this is a sample meal plan that I have used in the last few weeks. And I've just listed the goals here. I aim to have 1 to 2 vegetarian meals a week, 1 fish meal, and 1 sort of soup, stew, slow cooker meal a week too. This just helps me to have a large amount of variety. We all know that fish is really good for us. It contains like healthy fats that are really important for our brain development. These are just my personal goals, and you need to decide what's important to you. So now I'm just going to chat a little bit about my Effortless Eats one-on-one coaching service, which is part of my business launch today. So thank you for being here. I'm really excited for that. Who is it for? It is for women and men who are just tired of struggling to eat a nutritious and balanced diet. You want to eat healthy for long-term health rather than focusing on the scale. You want to keep your grocery bill under control. And I mean, who of us doesn't feel like that right now? You don't want to be bound by strict dieting rules and restrictions. Maybe you need help setting personal goals with your health and nutrition. And I can offer you support and accountability in reaching those goals and help you to troubleshoot when there's issues, when you feel that it's not working. We can reassess things, we can change things and modify things. And ultimately, it's going to set you up for success in hitting those personal health and nutrition goals. What makes it such a powerful service? It's highly personalized. You and I will work one-on-one to set your goals based on your needs, your wants, and your lifestyle situation. Accountability and support. So we're going to have regular assessments and check-ins and make adjustments based on your progress so that you're not stressing out and feeling like you're a failure. We look at, hey, okay, it didn't work out this week. All right, what happened? And what can we do different? What can we change to make it work better next time? Um, and I'm not going to guilt you. I'm not going to pressure you. I'm not going to make you feel bad if things don't work the way they're supposed to. Um, and I'm going to empower and educate you. I want to help teach you why we do what we do, why we make the choices we do. And the biggest issue I find with a lot of clients is they make these food choices and health choices without realizing why they're making it. And so through our appointments, through our meetings, we're going to just talk about what it is that motivates your choice when it comes to food, and how can we enable it that you are making healthy and nutritious choices that feel good to you. What can you expect at the end of our coaching time? You're going to be energized and confident, particularly in the morning. So you're going to experience better management of stress. You're going to be making good, nourishing choices in your food for long-term well-being. You're going to let go of the rigid rules that come along with dieting and worrying about weight gain constantly. We're going to work on building healthy habits and prioritizing balance and enjoying food, because that is really, really important. You're going to embrace the freedom and ease around food, and you're going to break free of that yo-yo dieting habit, which I think we've all fallen into. Do you know the average person diets at least once a year? That is a lot. And it's not that we're consistently eating nutritious meals, but we're swinging between this dieting and this almost binging kind of behavior where we just let it all go and do whatever we want. You're going to invest in lasting change for your long-term health, happiness, and your quality of life. I know that it can be really easy if you're on a strict diet to feel like the thoughts of food are almost consuming you and you cannot really think outside of that. And that is something we want to work to break free of, to eat healthy and nutritious foods because they feel good for you, rather than trying to fall within someone else's guidelines. We're going to develop guidelines that work for you, that are beneficial for you and that don't cause you stress, that don't consume your mental energy. I'm going to give you tools, support, and knowledge for long-term health. And we're going to help to redefine wellness beyond the scale so that we're focusing on your overall health and not just on a number. So today I'm offering this package of a 3-month coaching package, which will involve 6 weekly or fortnightly, in which case the 12 weeks will be extended. One-on-one online coaching sessions that will take place similar to today over Zoom, but it will be a lot more one-on-one chatting back and forth. I will offer you chat and email support outside of those coaching sessions. We will work on personalized goal setting, on an individual plan based on those goals to set you up for success. There'll be support strategies and accountability held. And no, I'm not going to be like, those 1990s drill sergeants where they just yell at you for doing whatever. I'm going to talk understandingly and compassionately with you, but also encourage you and support you and push you towards those goals. I'm going to give you meal suggestions and ideas. I don't give a rigid meal plan because that's just really unproductive. because you and I are very different and unique people, and we have our own personal tastes. But I will give you suggestions, ideas, inspiration, resources to find the meals that you enjoy. I did this with a client last week. I gave him, I think, about 10 different recipes that fall within the kind of things he enjoys eating, the kind of things that align with his goals. And so he's gone home and he has the possibility to use that resource to just try some different meals and to make sure that when he gets home from a long day at work, he has food there ready for him. And it's also going to include 2 follow-up appointments to make sure that you're actually hitting those goals, and to see if there's any issues. I don't like the term on track, but I thought that was the best way to explain it, just because on track sounds quite rigid. But it's more about seeing, hey, yes, you're still continuing towards that goal and things are running well, or hey, this isn't going the way I thought it would. And then we can reassess, readjust, and make some new plans. So today I'm offering this for 499 euros. And that is just for this week. Julie says, how can this work for someone who works full-time, is usually tired when she gets home and doesn't want to spend a few hours she has when she gets home in the evening cooking on her feet in the kitchen, and who only has Saturdays off and wants to use the day to be with people, and usually takes 2 to 3 times to fix a meal prep time, given with recipes? Oh, that is actually a really, really good question. There's a few different strategies we can use there, and I will talk to you one-on-one about that because that is a bit longer. I totally understand that. You do not necessarily have to prep all those meals at once. Maybe instead of trying to cook 5 meals at once, you could just do 2. That's going to take a lot less time. And you could also do double batches of them. They're not going to take any more time. And also just having the possibility to freeze those meals. And finding easy recipes. Again, Pinterest is a really good resource for that. So finding like 10 to 15-minute recipes. And once you become more familiar with that recipe, you will become quicker because you won't be checking it. You already know by instinct how to cook these things. So that's just a quick answer, but I'll chat to you one-on-one about that. So that's the offer I have for today. That is just till the end of this week. And anyway, so it's come to the end of our time. Oh, good. I timed it well. Thanks so much for being here. I know that a lot of you are going to be watching this afterwards, but if you have some feedback on this, I would really, really appreciate it. Yeah, thanks so much for joining me. Thank you, Julie, for being here live. Thank you for everyone who's going to watch this afterwards. If you have a review or any feedback on this course, please just send that to my email. I've listed it here, and I will also send you guys a follow-up email in the next few days. And if you're not already, just follow me on social media, Jenny Tysick Nutrition on Instagram and Facebook. All righty, guys. Thank you.